Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, we begin with breaking news. AG Barr to hold press conference on release of redacted Mueller report tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., DOJ says. Attorney General William Barr will hold a news conference on Thursday morning. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday, a day before the highly anticipated report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller is set to be made public, that he might hold a news conference after the redacted report is expected to be released Thursday morning. And we're following some other breaking news. If you are planning to watch News Center Maine in Maine, they're currently not on air right now. They have a fire drill at their station right now due to some renovation and some work in their newsroom they're doing. So if you're planning on watching, you might need to wait for a little bit on watching News Center Maine in Maine. Hopefully they'll be back on air soon. 2 men injured in Manchester shooting. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided to sell tractors out of their barn with a work ethic.
Well, right now, a large portion of Lincoln Street between Spruce and Cedar Street, it is still blocked off as we show you the scene here. There's a heavy police presence surrounding a home on Lincoln Street. Police have spent considerable time looking at the end of a driveway and in the street. Manchester police say they responded to a call around 3:30 for 2 men shot near Cedar and Lincoln. Authorities say they were struck in the lower extremities and sustained non-life-threatening injuries. They say the individuals involved were 18 and 24 years old. The investigation is still ongoing. In Manchester, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and we will keep you updated on this report as we get more information into our newsroom. Again, that investigation is still ongoing. Meteor seen blazing through sky over East Coast. Sightings reported from 12 states, including here in New Hampshire. Residents along the East Coast have reported seeing a meteor blazing across the sky, the nighttime sky. The American Meteor Society said it received 360 reports on Tuesday night about a meteor or fireball seen from Vermont to South Carolina. According to the society, the fireball traveled from north to south and likely plummeted into the Atlantic Ocean in front of Bethany Beach, Delaware, assuming it did not completely burn up in the sky. Affidavit: police officer charged in fatal crash appeared drunk amid drinking adult sodas. Tyler Berry faces charges of aggravated DUI. A Londonderry police officer facing charges in connection with a fatal head-on collision told first responders he had been drinking adult sodas earlier in the evening, according to a state police affidavit. Tyler Berry was charged with aggravated driving while intoxicated in connection with a crash on Route 101 in Amherst earlier this month. Police said his pickup truck crossed the center line and collided with an SUV head-on, killing Surya Kurtuo, 21, of Manchester. Berry was not on duty at the time of the crash. Londonderry police said prosecutors have said more charges could be filed. According to the affidavit, police said Berry appeared to be intoxicated when he was taken to Catholic Medical Center after the crash. A search warrant was obtained to allow police to take 2 blood draws, but Berry refused to allow the second one, according to the affidavit. Witnesses reported seeing Berry's truck driving erratically before the crash. One witness told police the truck kept crossing the center line and passing other vehicles before the witness saw the truck's tailgate and the headlights of an oncoming vehicle disappear. The witness then came across the crash scene and called 911, according to the affidavit. Berry was scheduled to be arraigned Thursday, but he waived his arraignment, officials said. Firefighters battle large fire in New Ipswich. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided to sell tractors out of their barn.
Sean, this fire at 283 Greenville Street has been under control for a while. You take a live look at the scene here. You can see firefighters. What they're doing right now is trying to figure out where this fire started. They believe it started in the right corner of this home, but at this point they're not sure. That's one thing their investigation will attempt to determine. Now, we do have some pictures that were taken by the deputy fire chief here. This will give you an idea of what firefighters had when they arrived here on Greenville Road shortly after 3 o'clock this morning. The deputy chief says that the house was fully involved.
What we had was the front of the house was fully involved. We made sure that the occupants, it was a little unconcerning if the occupants were out. We did make confirmation in about 10 minutes that the occupants were out of the structure.
Did you have to do a primary search, or was that possible? Or
that was not possible at that time. There was just way too much fire. So.
Now, the firefighters were eventually able to mount an interior attack from the rear of the home. As you take a live look at the scene once again here, there are 2 dogs missing. The deputy fire chief says at this point they have not found those 2 dogs, but there is the possibility that they ran off into the woods. The 4 people who were home at the time of the fire, 2 adults, 2 teenagers, well, they drove themselves to the hospital. No word yet on what the extent of their injuries might be. The fire chief here in New Ipswich has spoken to them, but at that point they weren't able to give her an idea of where this fire might have started or how. Reporting live in New Ipswich, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Crews extinguish fire on Russell Street in Manchester. And let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
Dr. Robert Marshall and the team at Aesthetic Dental Center are proud to offer Invisalign, the popular clear... Breaking overnight, firefighters in Manchester worked quickly to put out a 2-alarm fire. Firefighters say the fire started just after 3 o'clock this morning on a third-floor porch at 30 Russell Street. Officials say no one was injured. We spoke with one resident who called 911.
I heard some kind of like sizzling and popping kind of noises, and then it started just kind of sounding like fireworks were going off almost. Looked out the window, and the building behind mine was, engulfed in flames.
We do not know the extent of the damage or if people who live there are going to be able to stay. The fire department cleared the area about a half hour ago.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at that U.S. stock market and see how U.S. stock market closed for this Wednesday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you this Wednesday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed flat. Oil closed flat. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VIX closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 slips as healthcare loses overshadow strong earnings in China growth. Stocks struggled on Wednesday as sharp losses in the healthcare sector offset strong quarterly earnings results. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.